Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the podcast. I am the Evil Dungeon Master. I am your host of the Evil Dungeon Master universe, and hopefully you are having a good Tuesday. It is Tuesday. One of the days that is kind of a boring day during the week because it's not really a marking point because you don't know where you're going after Tuesday. Because then you got Wednesday, it's the hump day. At least you're halfway through the week. And anyway, but thank you to all the people that send comments in and encourage me to keep doing podcasts because I enjoy doing podcasting. It's one of the things I've always enjoyed doing. And everybody who keeps sending in uh, encouraging words, even though some people don't want me to do these things and kind of bash me and stuff like that, I still prevail and do my thing and just try to ignore them and pray that they someday will find their peace. But that said, today I want to talk a little bit about when you buy a book from a store, such as you see in the example of the highlighted picture here on the channel, or if you're on your Spotify or Apple, you could see the card there. Picked up Dungeon World some time ago, and it was like at half price books for $5 in the clearance section. I've never played Dungeon World. I've always heard some interesting things about it. It's by I forget the name of the company. Here, let me flip it open and tell you who it is. It is Dungeon World 6 World Printing, printed by the Burning Wheel, New York, New York. BurningWheel.com. I've heard good things about Dungeon World, and I wanted to check it out. So when I saw it for $5, I'm like, you know what? Why not? And it's a small, digestible sized book, so I picked it up in hopes of one day maybe trying to read it, at least if I'm on like a trip, something to read and something to digest and maybe talk about it on the podcast, which I'm doing today, kind of. But one thing I found is a hidden little gem, which I didn't notice at the time. This piece of paper that you could see was buried inside the book as I was reading it this morning. I'm like, yeah, let me just take a read. I was flipping through it and I see this page in it. And it says blurry gray hooded figures who disappear when you stare directly at them. And these are the kind of gems that I love finding inside books when you buy used books at, say, like half price books or whatever your local used bookstore. I think I got this at my local used bookstore here in Texas. And I found gems like this before as well, especially when I purchased one. It's a Gen Con many years ago. I purchased the World of Indiana Jones box set for West End Games, the Master Book series. And in there, someone had the Predator statted up as a character in the world of Indiana Jones. I'm thinking, how is Indiana Jones going to fight the Predator? I mean, really? Come on now. And I've found little things like that. And a Shadowrun book that was from the 80s, I found a used bookstore one time when I was completing my collection. And it had it had three things in it. It had a piece of paper that was a receipt from Fry's Electronics, which I don't even think is in business anymore, but it was from the 90s. Fry's Electronics. It had an FBI card in it for a local FBI agent, and it also had a religious prayer card in it. I'm thinking to myself, this might be an idea for a Shadowrun mission. But it's just really interesting to find what other people leave in books and don't realize it when they sell their collection or they sell their book because they don't want it anymore, they don't play it, they don't think it's valid. Sometimes it's a good thing. You give inspiration to others out there when you're selling your stuff. So, after finding all these things, sometimes when I'm getting rid of a book that I no longer want to use and hand it off to somebody else, if I have something in the book that maybe was for an adventure or maybe I was using it for a character, I'll leave it in there because maybe it'll give someone some inspiration down the line when they open that book and look at, like me, Dungeon World. I'm like, wow, that'd be kind of cool. You know, these mysterious hooded figures, these gray looking figures that kind of disappear when you stare directly at them, but when you don't, they follow you. They're like kind of like um what are they? The shadow creatures, the I think they're called shadow creatures, or the man in the hat, man in the black. Those things, the shadow people that you see out of the corner of your eye, but you never directly see them. Creatures like that. It'd be a perfect Call of Cthulhu monster type thing, just for a simple little investigation that you have to figure out what these creatures are doing. I can easily see incorporating that into a game, and it is. I don't know. I love inspiration like that. There's nothing better than opening up a book, seeing someone's notes in it, and wondering what they were thinking at the time. It makes you take a step back and think about your adventure as well. And this one, definitely, I want to use these creatures somewhere along the line in an adventure. So thank you to that person who sold the book for Dungeon World, left a note in there, and gave me some inspiration for possibly a fantasy game or Call of Cthulhu game. Have you ever found a note in your book? I'm curious to know about that. And if you found things in books, what did you find? What did you do with it? I mean, I know some people will just take the stuff and throw it out and not look at it, really care, unless it's some type of gem. I mean, I found graph paper in books with full adventures on them before, and I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty cool. Um, Half Price Books now sells when people print out books from, I guess, drive through and they bind them. Half Price Books will now sell those, and when people hand them in, I've gotten a couple books like that for, um, I think it's called Modern 20 or True 20. One of the games that came out in the mid 2000s that was after D20 Modern and the D20 boom. A couple people printed those out, some of the supplement books, and Half Price Books just basically threw them up in the clearance section for a couple bucks, so I bought them. But in some of them, there were actual, what looked like custom classes that they made or custom feats and stuff. There was a whole bunch of pages in there that was just mimicking the format of the book. You can tell it's completely different, but mimicking the format of the book to the point that it looked like it could be part of the book, but you could tell that they added it in and they bound it themselves in these like blue folder things. So I like stuff like that. I like seeing what other people do, and when they hand it in and I find these things, it's a gem for me. It gives me inspiration for my games. So hopefully you consider the same thing yourself. Another thing that I love is when you buy something like a pre-written module, such as a Pathfinder adventure module, and you open up one of those, and there's notes in there from a DM that was trying to give themselves a cheat sheet. And I saw that in a couple of the uh, Curse of the Crimson Throne adventure path, because I picked those up because they're actually pretty good. And I saw, and there's a piece of paper in this one here where the GM was giving himself cheat notes of what certain events were in the game. And I'm like, hey, thank you for doing some of the work for me. And there's nothing wrong with picking up later adventures and using them for whatever edition you want. Anything's easily translatable as long as it's D20. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I know people have, oh, it's Pathfinder, and I'm playing basic D&D. Just translate the monster back to basic D&D. Who cares? Trap? Translate it. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult to go forward and backwards. I mean, if you know one armor class versus ascending versus DC, you should know it off the top of your head. I mean, it may take a moment to figure out the math sometimes. Not everybody's a math genius. I know I'm not. But I can take a D20 supplement and move it back to basic or AD&D and move it forward from AD&D and basic to Pathfinder. Well, not 2 weeks. I think that's a different system now at this point, but I can move things from old school D&D to new school D&D no problem. And that's why I consider myself just, an old school gamer, because I just game. That's it. Nothing else. I don't limit myself anymore. I used to limit myself a lot with just, oh, I'm going to be old school. I'm not going to look at anything because, that sucks. And that really limited my gaming experiences in life. And I started just changing and I guess evolving is the word. And I picked up different books and started playing different games and didn't care. I played whatever the group wanted to play. And Yeah, there's some games I really don't care for, and there's companies that I don't want to support, but I'm not going to talk about that. That's not really what we're talking about today. And that's my preference. And I won't sit in those games, but I'll buy modern games. The newest Pendragon just dropped today. No, actually dropped 5 days ago, according to this. And I'll pick that up and definitely take a look at it because I like Pendragon. That's awesome. The new Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Do I need it? No. But did I get it? Yeah. I have 4th and I have the 20th anniversary edition and one other edition, but I'll still buy the newer editions because it's called Cthulhu. And that's an awesome game to play. Gotta get back into that. All right. Tell me what you think about inspiration from other people's hidden gems in a book. I don't know what I'm going to call this episode, but that's probably what it's going to be called. Something like that. With that said, I'm going to head out, keep it original, keep it old school. Remember, no clickbait, no drama, and all gaming on this channel as we climb up to 5,000 subs on YouTube and a lot of 5-star reviews on Spotify. I forgot how many I had. I think I was getting close to 75. I don't remember. But just keep Spotifying me, folks, and rating me on Apple Podcast as well. Appreciate it. Thank you for the downloads. Love every one of you. Good night, everybody. God bless.